Smart 24, driving business.
Good evening, Uganda, and wherever you are. It is just 6 minutes past 8 p.m. and of course it is Smart 24 TV bringing you, of course, energy conversations. Yesterday evening we had the same conversation with the senior energy officer at the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, as we were discussing some of the special innovations and special technologies that we are going to witness at the Renewable Conference and Expo. And of course the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, together with the National Renewable Energy Platform, of course, will be hosting the Renewable Energy Conference and Expo, which will take place from 16th to 18th November 2023, of course, in Kampala, Uganda. And of course, we have had several conversations to prepare Ugandans in terms of being well positioned for this conference, but also we want to know what are those special initiatives that the government has undertaken to encourage the adoption of renewable energy and improve energy efficiency. And of course, yesterday we discussed quite a number of policy frameworks that the government has put in place to ensure that we support the development of renewable energy, but at the same time, incentives have been put in place to ensure that we encourage investment in renewable energy projects. And of course, we also mentioned clearly yesterday that the Ministry of Energy has set what we call energy targets, and this is to ensure that we have a powerful way to drive adoption. And of course, countries are often committed to achieving a certain percentage of their energy from renewable sources by a specific date. And of course, we are going to look at how can the government invest in necessary infrastructure for renewable energy projects, such as solar, wind, and so much more. And for those who are watching us, Ugandans, we have powerful, prominent figures in the room today. One of them is Dr. Nicholas Mukisa, the Deputy National Coordinator of National Renewable Energy Platform, and of course, Honorable Moses Gabusu, the MP of Chamuswa in Kalangala Island, of course, which is found here in Uganda. Now, for those watching us, these two gentlemen will be giving us deeper insights on what it means to be a part of the Renewable Energy Conference and Expo that will be happening on 16th to 18th. Please be a part wherever you're watching from, and please be a part of this conversation. Now, as we delve into this very much conversation, I want to start with Dr. Nicholas Mukisa. You are most welcome.
Thank you very much, moderator. I'm glad to be here, and I hope and believe that by the end of this discussion, the people out there watching us would learn one or two things about energy, but they also pick interest on their choices of energy.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, let me also give a chance to Honorable to introduce himself and say something to the audience.
Yes, viewers, good evening. My name is Moses Kabusu. I come from Sese Islands, Kalangala district. When you talk about renewable energy, we are one of the districts or areas in Uganda, even when it was possible to extend hydroelectric power or other sources of power to all parts of Uganda, at least for Kalangala, because of the geographical nature and hardships, it is not very possible for every island to have power, except if government, like it is now intended to do, government opens up and establishes mini grids, and such mini grids would probably extend power to almost most of my hard to reach islands. So with the renewable energy, it's the only answer, because even with hydroelectric power, thermal generator, all these have their challenges. It also is with renewable energy, but if our population are educated, empowered, and government invests more or much more resources in renewable energy, I think innovation, technology, investment can be supported. Absolutely. So with this conference and this week, we are glad all Ugandans and the world over, to those who have what to demonstrate or what to offer, we invite all of you to come on board in this conference. Many people will have to know that there are places that have population, they have innovations, but because they are limited by inaccessibility to power, probably they can go and invest there or support government for profit. And I know throughout this program, a lot more, of course, as you have guided, will be unearthed. And also our commitment as government, as leaders, and what our population think about renewable energy. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Honorable, for that overview. Now, back to you, Dr. Nicholas Mukisa. Is it okay for you to give us an overview of what this conference will mean for the Uganda's energy sector? What is it going to mean for Ugandans specifically, and also Uganda as a country, and especially our energy sector? What is this conference bringing on the table?
Oh, thank you very much. I like how the president normally starts his discussions. He first takes you back to history, and equally in the energy space we've learned over time. If we go back to the 1954, when the first electric hydropower plant was inaugurated by the late Queen Elizabeth, electricity was only a preserve of the urban dwellers and the white settlers that were doing business or loading over the country. Over the years, capacity has grown from, of course, Nalubale was 150 megawatts, but today we are talking about close to 1,800 megawatts of installation, if you take into consideration Kaluma, which we anticipate in time to come online. But access still remains low. Affordability is one of those that are pointed out. Awareness of what can we do with electricity is one actually of the bottlenecks. And we believe over time that the more government, private actors, development partners, and civil society organizations as well as academic institutions work together, we can always find a lasting solution to our problems. So through these arrangements, since 2021, the ministry in the Department of Renewable Energy initiated the idea of having conferences and expos, and where would not actually look at government actors speaking or government coming to lecture the public about the energy or what government is doing. No. The approach with these conferences is that we give room to everyone. We have civil society actors, we have private sector speaking, we have university researchers. In particular this year we have teenagers coming to discuss what they know of renewable energies, what aspiration do they see for this country as young generation. Because when you look at development goals, you're looking at development that will not jeopardize the future of the next generation. So they have to be part of the discussion. And this is intentional. Last year we did youth dialogue. This time we've gone for teens clubs as well as youth. We are bringing the discussion as lower as primary level to allow them to discuss. We are bringing the ordinary people that sell food in the markets, the food vendors, to come and discuss, because you'll find that most of the people that plan for this country in the energy space are people that sit in the boardrooms, whose food is cooked, maybe served in hotels, or have the wealth, so they don't know about the hassles that a regular Ugandan going through to find source of energy, find maybe big gas, big electricity. The hassles are not known. So we are giving them a chance also to give feedback, because policy is assessed based on feedback gathered from the stakeholders. And the stakeholders here, we are looking at those at upstream and downstream. So if we have everyone on board, it's well covered. We are bringing a civil society. Civil society is known for poking government on policy actions. So we want to bring them, civil society shouldn't be an enemy of government, but should be a colleague with whom they work together and structure, because before they become advocates of whatever they are, they're Ugandans. And before we serve government or we take over any position, we are Ugandans. When you go back to your house or retire from government, you're Ugandan. So you should be accountable. And that's why we bring all these actors. Also, the renewable energy or the energy space in this country is still nascent. It's still young. The training, those that of us have been trained in these technologies have mostly been trained overseas. We've trained abroad. So we also bring in now the academic institutions, universities, and those who turn up for this conference will witness. We have universities from across this country coming to exhibit, showcase their technologies, showcase some of the teachings they do in line with the energy, but also to link up, overcome that barrier or gap between academic institutions and government, so that we have research that speaks to policy, speaks to industry, and speaks to social transformation. So this is an opportunity for all of us to learn.
Yeah.
I tell people that the more you learn, the more you appreciate that you don't know.
That's true.
Because you discover new things again and again. And we've opened ourselves to learning. Because the day you cease to learn, maybe preferably is the day you die. So we are open and we bring everyone. Honorable himself will be there. And other honorables, other MPs, leaders.
Yeah.
We are bringing even veterans, people who have served in government, the likes of Miriam Matembe, they're coming to speak. So that, and it's not only energy, because everyone uses energy in this country. It could be electricity. For those that don't have electricity, use firewood. That's another form of energy they're using. Others use charcoal. But then also following the recent ban on charcoal, we also bring people, we are bringing new technologies to demonstrate to people. And so far, from the last moment I checked, we had over 180 exhibitors coming to showcase technologies. This is a range of technologies. We have a range of investors coming from abroad. UK is bringing over, I think, 20 business people that are coming to explore business investment opportunities here. We have, I've mentioned universities. I think we had over 15 civil society organizations coming. We have over 33 countries. From the last statistics I looked at, the registered participants, 33 countries represented who have already committed, they are traveling. Some have already actually landed in the country, coming purposely for this conference. And us, that's an indication of the impact this activity has. Last year we had 22 countries represented. This year is 33. And that's registered as of Monday, yesterday. So I don't know of today which other people have expressed interest. So it tells you that it's not only Uganda, because the energy challenge is a global issue.
Yeah.
We talk about the energy security and the geopolitics aspects that affect energy. Yeah. So this is one of those opportunities where all Ugandans, stakeholders, have a chance to add their voice to the discussion.
That's true.
So we believe that there will be awareness creation. People will be, will be exposed to different technologies. People will learn, and we all know the challenges. Yeah. So we purpose this event to be a solution-finding engagement. We don't want people to come and tell us the challenges we have. We all know them.
We want solutions.
We want solutions, and that's why we bring everyone. We are bringing MPs to be part of the discussion, so that they pick the recommendations put across or made in the conference, take them to the floor of parliament. Yeah. We have civil society actors to pick interest in which policy dynamics need to be addressed, that they should pursue. And even government as ministry picks feedback. What are some of the challenges our actors, private sector, civil society, and other people in the sector facing that we need to look into?
That's right.
So for us, we are happy about that, but also to grow investment. Last year, government, there was an amendment on the Electricity Act to allow private sector to invest in transmission. So there are very many people who are coming to do that, especially from the UK. But also these companies to build B2B, business to business is very important. Some of these overseas companies want to build base here, but using the local existing companies to set foot on the ground. So we are very expectant of a wide of things, and we are sure that it will yield.
I'm very sure that whoever's listening to Dr. Nicholas should be, of course, emphasized to attend this conference, because if you miss out on this, then definitely you're going to miss out on quite a lot that could actually scale up your renewable energy project. Now, one of the things that I have taken note of is that training programs and capacity building is very crucial for the successful implementation of renewable energy projects. And of course, we're talking about training technicians, we're talking about training engineers, we're talking about training other professionals in the renewable energy sector to ensure that we have the upscaling of these projects, and I think to me that's very important. Doctor, thank you so much for that. Honorable Doctor has mentioned how this energy conference is going to be very impactful for Ugandans. But to you, I want you to help us understand what are those major outcomes that Uganda should expect to benefit from this conference. What are those outcomes that are going to create impact for Ugandans, but also for the energy sector?
It is both a conference and an expo.
Yeah.
And with Expo, there must be exhibition. And with the exhibition, of course, it won't be like a lot has been carried to say, what is it called? Window shopping or what? But when big companies or serious investors from different areas of this world come in, what Ugandans now would do, particularly those ones who have been in the industry, you do is to go and identify themselves with those who have what they don't have.
Absolutely.
How can they tap on, can they be appointed regional dealers, or can they be representatives of those people who have what they don't have? Here, like Dr. Nicholas has been telling you, some of our people who have studied electricity and energy most of them have been abroad. You will see him at his age is a doctor at his age. But people here who could have studied what he studied, maybe a few of them picked interest in going further with further studies. And what that calls for is there are other people who have studied energy and they have not been able to showcase what they have. Employment challenges, somebody has the knowledge, the techniques, but the structure of the existing energy sector could be discussing UMEME, I'm not discussing companies, UMEME, UEBDCL, what. With renewable energy, it must be an opportunity opened for all the other people with divergent opinions on how energy should reach every sector or every corner of the country or the world, and how do our people tap into it. I represent an area that some years back has had a lot of forest cover.
How long ago back, to Honorable? Sorry, how you said some years back? If you could.
If I took you taking 20 years back, I'm taking 20 for avoidance of mistakes. But I was a district councillor between 2002 to 2005. Before I joined the parliament that time, I was a youth councillor representing males to Kalanga District Local Government. Before then, vegetable oil development projects, the BDCO you hear of, oil palm, Kalangala, Ebinazi, had not picked, or government had not supported our people to plant. So when the project came on to plant oil palm, forest cover was lost to a very big percentage. For the government, forest reserves were a little protected and saved, but later on still were encroached. People come at night and harvest without licenses. People do, even the rangers who have to protect forests also go into them. But what do they go to do? To cut trees, to prepare for charcoal, for firewood, for energy. There are islands that had population, forest cover. There's an island in Mukono here called Chimi. I was in Chimi in 1997. Chimi had forests. I went there 1 year ago. I had picked interest in also, can I put a generator to give them power? It's a very big population. They do not have power. But even the trees I left there were all cut down. Our people have been smoking fish smoking, and they use firewood. I know in this conference and this expo, there will be exhibitors who say we have a way of how to dry fish without using firewood.
Sure.
Or we have this technology. Or can our people, you leaders, we as members of parliament, can you advocate for it? What doesn't government have? Can we support government if it requires taking a loan or borrowing such that our people are saved? You know, it has now come a situation on the islands that our people who used to smoke fish using trees they were cutting around the island where they are, they now go to other islands and they go at night to raid into the forest, cut at night. Imagine the risks that can be associated.
It's very risky.
And such that when it comes today, they will have come with wood to stock such that they are able to smoke fish. Can't we have alternatives? How are these alternatives? There's a district council at Kalangala called the vice chairperson who was also asking me that, Nicholas, when I interact with you, government, we heard of government is going to stimulate use of gas for cooking, for lighting, and I see whenever I drive to petrol stations, there are some gas cylinders on it inscribed GOU to mean Government of Uganda. Probably the project to stimulate use of gas has not been rolled out to all parts of the country. But she was saying, what does this conference have to help? With our people, we need to push that our people will be given startups for gas usage. Why do companies that make gas or that I don't know what process gas goes through to be put in a cylinder? Why do they overcharge? Can't this conference have ideas to lower the cost of refilling and all that? Then finally, you know, innovation. There are some people who have not gone to school, but they have the heads. They need to just be supported. I saw a student of senior 6 at Entebbe SS. I read in the papers that he assembled a motorcycle that uses a battery. It is charged and replaced. So for the parts he didn't make, but he bought or joined here and here. But I was happy, he's in senior 6. He has not got any training anywhere, but he got to assemble a cycle that uses a battery, and I don't know how long it is. Those people need to be supported. So when you talk about renewable energy, the conference, Expo, all these people, I know some may not have the capacity to attend, but you know records stay. These TV shows you are hosting, somebody will go on social media and say, oh,
let me look through what happened.
This is what I missed. Whom do I look for? So we want that a database be established at the ministry, at the project, and you people, Nicholas, you look out, invite all people who have some people know how to do some things. They just need to be supported or given a platform to showcase what they can do. I know this conference is meant to exhume all those skills and all those minds that are resting. And finally, me coming from the islands, I went to islands in Tanzania. Tanzania is a sister country here. We share the Lake Victoria. But on those islands, government there home extended power to those islands. They established mini grids. So our people, you know, I don't know if you have ever wanted to take cold water, either frozen or what, and the only way to have something frozen is to buy ice from Entebbe and transfer it in a sack or in a container, then go and also keep that the ice to cool.
Does it melt on the way?
It keeps on melting, but that's what is only available. So our people must now be happy, or we are now looking at an opportunity that what should be taken cold or hot, we shall have opportunity for that. However, you know, in my islands, if I give you a video of the makeshift kind of structures our people sleep in, These ones, you know, if they needed welding or use of power to improve the structures, they cannot. We have our people who trained in carpentry and joinery who use rudimentary landers, and the technology has changed, but because you have limitation to power, a lot of limitations there. And we have fishermen now. Fishermen, there are some who go at night. I asked you if you had traveled to Kalangala. I got your answer. But my interest was to do with, had you traveled there at night and see the kind of lighting on the lake, you may even think there is a city or town flat, but these are lanterns, kerosene lanterns. They are used to provide light to trap mokene, mokene is silverfish. But elsewhere in Tanzania and Rwanda, they use rechargeable gadgets to provide the light. These gadgets don't, you know, are not affected by water. They are resistant. But here, technology that could also help us either do a lot more catch or secure is not supported because we have no access to power. And there are a lot, my constituents, the whole of Sese Islands is 84 islands, 69 of which are inhabited with population. But the islands of Mukono, the islands in Vuma, Buvuma is 52 islands. The islands in Namayingo, the islands in Wakiso. These islands, you know, when you leave the shores of Entebbe, then you forget about electricity. And this conference must also address, or will address, fake and substandard solar gadgets that are on market that do not meet the standards, but they are all available. So the exhibitors and the companies that are coming to attend the conference must also be, it must come to their notice that if we had quality equipment on market, our people will buy them, will provide market. That's it.
Oh, absolutely. Actually, after your submission, Honorable, I feel like I should be in Kalangala to see a number of things myself. You have mentioned quite a number of limitations that are actually being a barrier to so many Ugandans when it comes to this area. You have mentioned about the insufficient financial resources to support some of the innovations. You have also mentioned how we need more capacity building to ensure that so many Ugandans benefit from this. So I think to me you have mentioned quite a number of touchy areas, and I think those who are watching should have picked out some of the major outcomes that this conference will be bringing to our table. Now, I think as Honorable was speaking, I had something that I wanted to ask Dr. Nicholas, and to me that was about if you could provide insights on some of the projects that are going to be there at or launched, because actually, Honorable, yesterday I was with the Senior Energy Office. I think you may know her because she's going to be launching a project that will be in Kalangala. I think she mentioned it yesterday. The mini grids, yes. She's going to be launching a project about mini grids. I think I don't know if I met a lady called Adela, yeah, from Ministry of Energy. I think she's doing such a great job. I think she discussed with us one of those energy projects that will be launched, I think, on the 18th. Of course, part of the conference as well. So I think that why I asked that is because I want you to maybe share with us some of these projects that are going to be launched at this Expo and conference, and how will these projects contribute to addressing Uganda's energy challenges, just like Honorable Christian.
Thank you very much. And like I mentioned earlier, Honorable has also, you know, helped me or saved me sharing these challenges.
Yeah.
And you know, I have a professor colleague of mine who says a challenge is an opportunity. And if you ever going to get rich or, you know, innovate or invest, you look out for challenges. You know, if you only go to places where there are no challenges, you're not going to find any room for investment. But if you look at, for instance, here in Kampala, by investing now in apartments, because there's a shortage of housing. Now, he highlighted what challenges are existent now. People in the highlands have no access to electricity. I mentioned about the charcoal burning in the urban areas, what it's causing, because I think for those that use charcoal, a sack has gone to over, I think, 150,000, the double. So it tells you that it's becoming hard to access energy. For those that have money, they're finding it hard to access it because normally they've used charcoal. Several of them have fears about gas, that most households, when a wife or maybe a husband are moving out of the house, they will close up the kitchen. They don't allow the maid to use the gas because of fears gas will burn their houses. Yeah. There are those fears. So at this conference, there's a lot of launches that's going to happen. Okay. In particular, one of the things that have not happened before is that we have a session where we have the energy donor groups meeting to discuss how are they going to support the energy space going forward. This is going to be the first of its kind. Ambassadors, heads of corporations, with the minister, and other dignitaries discussing how do we transition, how do we support the energy transition in this country. We have another project launching called Off-Grid Energy Task Force. This is by the Beyond the Grid Fund for Africa. And it speaks to what it talks about off-grid, areas that are hard to reach. The policy, the 2023 energy policy for Uganda is cognizant of the value private sector plays, mostly in the off-grid space. The statistics indicate that 57% of Ugandans have access to electricity. That's in the form of solar, home systems, mini grids, and the national grid. But then 38%, which is 2/3 of that number, is through off-grids. That's mini grids, our old people in the village that have those plug and play systems, the small solar systems with a radio and sometimes a torch, and the rest that have a bit of a bigger capacity on their rooftops. Now, this is to look at that. How do we support that? And he mentioned that it's quite expensive for a grid to be extended to islands. It's costly. We look at the cost implications of extending a grid vis-a-vis establishing an off-grid system or a mini grid in Kalangala or wherever hard-to-reach area. It's economical. Challenge is that in some of these places where people have not used electricity, it's hard to stimulate electricity demand. And you've seen in several places in this country where distribution lines pass over a string of houses and no one is connected. Why people don't feel like they've lived 30 years in darkness without electricity, so they don't feel like they need electricity. But you see, islands are quite an opportunity. People are already doing fishing, and they've run out of firewood. There is a shortage there. So if someone comes with solar dryers and tells them, hey guys, you don't need actually to worry about firewood. Here's a solar dryer. You can dry tons and tons of your silver fish, the small fish, in these dryers. You don't have to worry about rain. You don't have to worry about animals attacking your merchandise. You leave it here, the solar will do the business for you. He mentioned the solar light fishing, which is a discussion we've had at the ministry, interministerial dialogues on this. Where we've engaged Maif, the Minister of Agriculture, to look into the possibility of bringing solar systems to allow fishing communities to use solar systems for fishing. Kerosene is not good for the fish as well, even as for people. So that's a discussion ongoing as well. And these are opportunities where people meet at the Renewable Energy Conference. So I mentioned that we have a range of launches going to happen. Beyond the one I mentioned of Beyond the Grid Fund for Africa, we have the European Union, which is Team Europe, coming to present the different funding facilities they have. Different ambassadors will be presenting the different projects planned going forward. We have the UK, the British High Commission, bringing a full delegation of over 20 companies from UK. We have one of them as Energy Catalyst, which funds big projects, big innovations. I think every year they have over their projects are normally in the range of $10 million plus. They fund. Recently, there's also another project that's going to be discussed, Climate Accelerator Financing, which is looking at carbon projects that look at carbon minimization. At that event, we are going also to have launches from the WWF, looking at the spectrum of energy transition in Uganda and which policy intervention need to be taken. This is through the multi-actor platform, which brings actually all stakeholders, the like-minded actors in the country, not only in the energy space. Some are media, others are civil society, others are some of us who are in the energy space to discuss matters. We have the GOGRA, which is a Global Off-Grid Light Association.
Yeah.
It's an international association that will be discussing productive use of energy. And that speaks exactly to what Honorable Moses was speaking to.
That's right.
Productive use of energy is using energy to generate an income, revenue. So if you're going to use energy to dry your fish, you're adding value to your fish and you're making an income.
That's true.
You're going to use energy to irrigate your agricultural products, or you're growing, you're irrigating your garden, increase your yield, you're making a living. You're setting up a chiller, for instance, in Kalangala, in the islands to preserve fish, for instance, of fish, and you cannot, maybe the waters are not safe for, crossing. You keep your fish in a chiller, and the following day or the following night you can travel to Entebbe. So these are all there. There is also a range of, there's another establishment called the East African Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Alliance, Aclean. It will also be discussing how do we extend the integration of energy. We have, you mentioned about my colleague Adela, through the KFW, they'll be launching the mini-grid project. And I'm certain that his island will be one of the beneficiaries of that project. It will be benefiting close to 10 districts of this country, which are hard to reach through mini-grids. We're also looking at, there's another one that also we are discussing, which is biofuels. We shall be discussing biofuels, particularly the blending aspect. We have several of our actors here, especially the sugarcane communities. We have like the Bokona that are producing ethanol. So looking at how can we blend ethanol with other fuels, bioethanol and biodiesel with the diesel market to minimize all the emissions. And beyond that, we have an entire session on cooking, clean cooking, discussing the ban, for instance, the charcoal ban. What are the bottlenecks and prospects for transition to clean cooking? Now, the transition is not going to be the same. People in Kampala will transition to using electricity. But people in the islands, for instance, may not be able to go to electricity straight away. They may need briquettes. They may need other solar cookers. They will need maybe ethanol. There are other technologies that are available there, and our people are not familiar with. For instance, biogas has been in this country for over 70 years. But not many people know about biogas. Even those that have cows and feedstock to run biogas digesters have not learned these things. So these are other things that we're going to demonstrate. And I talked about clean cooking. We have electric pressure cookers. This is a new technology, which was an innovation from a student in a university. He invented it, and now it's on market here. Very efficient. But like I normally mention that us as you Africans at large, we are persons that believe in word of mouth. Many people would not take what they've already maybe government has said. But when people see, I think there's a Uganda saying that so when they see these technologies and touch, we shall be having people demonstrating how these technologies cook. So those who will have morocco will have a chance to test a morocco cooked in this technology. Some of those who say the matoke cooked on gas, electricity does not taste. You should come. You'll find there the Chiganda cooking of matoke in Miwumbo, in DPC, and you'll test. We've done these demonstrations, and we keep doing them. And whoever comes and tests becomes our ambassador, because it goes and tells the community that, look, I've tasted the fruit. I've seen the technology cockpit.
These are the results.
And these are the results. So, you create ambassadors, and this is one of the avenues we have to create that kind of awareness.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Doctor. And I think as we try and digest what Doctor has been sharing with us, please do not miss the conference. And for those watching us, we shall be taking a short break, and we shall be back. Stay tuned.
Smart 24, driving business.
Jovia. Ng'oyolekera ku lugendo luno olw'obulamu nkuwa ekirabo eky'amaanyi agatazizibwa, amaanyi okulabibwa n'okuwulirwa mu mawanga ageewala ennyo, okutuuka buli wamu nga yadde togenzeeyo, ensi yonna ng'ekuli mu ngalo. Okutambula mu biseera n'okumanya buli kimu ekirina okumanyibwa. Jovia, kino kye kirabo kyange gy'oli.
Tewali kkubo ku ki ky'osobola okukola ku mukutu nnandameggwa ogwa MTN.
This is Jordan. When it comes to classwork, Jordan is magic. Jordan shines. Jordan makes his peers better. Jordan is a true leader. White Star Magic family. Be a leader. Be magic.
Smart 24, driving business.
Welcome back from that commercial break. I believe that you have been able to stretch enough to be a part of the second session of this invaluable discussion. Of course, I'm still with very prominent figures in the government, and of course, as I mentioned earlier, one of them is the Deputy National Coordinator of National Renewable Energy Platform, that is Dr. Nicholas Mukisa. And of course, we also have the MP of Chamsua, which is found in Kalangala Island, and of course, he's also sharing with us some of the projects that should be directed to Kalangala. And of course, we are having quite a number of issues to discuss. And I think before we cut off for the break, Doctor shared with us some of the renewable energy projects that will be showcased at this conference and expo. Now, what we want to understand from Honorable Moses is, how is the Ministry of Energy planning to collaborate? How is government, you're part of government, Honorable, and how are you planning to support and collaborate with the private sector on the renewable energy projects? And we just want to understand, what are those measures that we can put in place to encourage sustainable energy development, Honorable?
I have been a member of Committee of Physical Infrastructure and the other of national economy. With infrastructure, we discuss infrastructure. And public, we want to discuss roads, rails, and less of infrastructure in energy. There is a committee that handles energy and natural resources. That one is, to which I'm not a member. But the other one of national economy, we advise Parliament and government on viability, feasibility of loan requests. Government brings to us as Parliament to permit them borrow. But the technical team, like Nicholas's team, will always cook behind and come up with a project that requires financing and with a vision. But because government may not have resources at that time, then government will identify, are there any financiers that are ready to finance it. So where it started from, the Ministry of Energy appeared before us and were popularizing a loan request to extend energy to the rural areas without access to energy. To those of us who came from the islands, I remember with my colleague Honorable Migade Robert Indugwa, we were left out. Extension was suggested, and there was one project for Kalangala. It was the submarine cable, underwater cable. In Kalangala, there are some islands that have power, and particularly the big island. That island has a solar, I don't know whether I will cut it is the one I can say a mini grid or what, but they have a solar plant that generates power, and during the day, of course, population has grown big, and I was told by Kalangala Infrastructure Services, KISS, that are generating and supplying power, that what is collected by solar is not enough for the islands, so they always supplement it with generators. But there are times when they generate more power we cannot consume, or there are times when we generate less and we need it to be supplemented. So government, in that loan component, was to support us with an underwater cable to join Kalangala main island to Masaka, Bukakata mainland. So that project was, the process is ongoing, and I know next financial year or next year, not financial, next year, that project will have probably been commissioned and the laying will have started, and the people of Kalangala will be sure that they will have power. If the one generated at Kalangala is not enough, it will be supported. But still, if one they have generated here is too much and can be exported, I was told that that's how what they will be doing. But that was with one island of Kalangala. I told you we have 84 islands. Then what about the other islands? There are 2 islands in my constituency that have some semblance of solar power. But the funny bit of it is, one gets off. Even during the day when it is shining, they shade I'm told to save for at night. And at night they put on at 6, and by 8 the batteries will have gone low and it is off. Then the other island, they have power, but they also put on, during the day they have some power from midday because you have generated enough. Then in the around 4 o'clock they shed. Then they also come back and around 7 o'clock in the evening, and by 9 the batteries will have gone low. Even for Kalangala main island, where I told you that there's a mini grid and generators, they always tell you when you're at Kalangala, if you will not have charged your phone, and by midnight the power is going off. So to those who have generators, if you're in hotels, or those who have their small power plants, I don't know what are they called, systems are the ones who will stay on. But that is better for them, at least they have some power. But for the whole of my constituency, you how did you call them, these simple ones?
Solar home systems.
No, somebody has a radio,
plug and play.
has some TV probably, and where to charge your phone, and they can't charge 5 or 3 at a go, you know. So they have the love, and probably our people with fishing, our people are not poor.
True.
They can afford everything. Only we do not have access. So, like you said, you can drive along Sembabule or Mubenda and you see power lines going over the roofs, but there are no lines connecting to the houses. And to those who connect, have a way to loop, and loop for free. So when Minister of Energy or whoever did it said, let us now, what do they
wires covered.
Have insulated wires. Now people are not having. the only solution now would be with what? With the renewable energy. So you asked a question that was interesting. I'm sorry to have dwelled into all this, but I was showing you what happens with our communities. Government must, if they have weaknesses or shortages, let them come to us, to Parliament. We support them. The only support we can do is appropriation.
That's right.
If appropriation, what we have in the National Treasury isn't enough, but they think they should borrow to have our people access. You know, I've ever been in a situation that thinks that borrowing or over-borrowing is bad. But there is where you see, and if convinced that this can create an opportunity for somebody to have what they don't have, and it multiplies into productivity. Have you ever felt how it is hurting to lose your fish unfrozen because you cannot go to the market very quickly and the fish will go bad? By the time they reach the market where fish is gutted, they say it's all rejected. They didn't have ice or they didn't have power. Then these people who have skills, President Museveni and government of Uganda are discussing skilling, tailoring. Is it tailoring? This. But there, some of our youth are trained on power sewing machines. They are not there where they are going because there is no power. These ones doing carpentry and joinery, bricklaying that require power. So with this call, it's a clarion call for everyone who has what he can do. Our commitment, I'm in the opposition, my party is FDC. But even us who always challenge government, sometimes whereas you have to promise that our government can do it better than theirs, but without a foundation laid, still we also limp, and what we promise as the opposition shall have challenges if there are no foundations laid. This is a foundation now laid, and with this foundation laid, let now the ruling government come and tell us now in the next elections why they have failed to extend power to our regions.
They should.
You said Adela was telling me, okay, she gave me a list of islands that will be covered, or that ministry anticipates they will be covered. Probably when the resources are enough. There were other islands that were not captured on the list. When I shared with her, I said, oh, why not these islands? She told me that at the time, a research feasibility study was conducted. Those ones were a little more feasible than the others. But I told her, no, please, before you launch, can I take you and see? Because I will not have any answer. A whole sub-county left out, a whole parish left out. I've also told you about a whole sub-county in Kome Mukono, which would be left out. So we need intervention that those hard to access. You know, if you are on the mainland, even if something has not reached you today, with time, there's accessibility, you will. But with those islands, there are schools government has built for us. They are called seed schools. These seed schools cannot start because the curriculum requires the children to use computers, and computers are powered. They cannot start. I have a whole school in my sub-county, where you come, my real sub-county. The school cannot open up because the curriculum cannot be incorporated. There is a health center for that serves my constituency. Because of absence of power, what can be done to operationalize the health center for was the health center for operates at a level of in between 2 and 3, where the The theater cannot operate because there's no power. These were cold chains. There are vaccines brought where there is vaccination or immunization. So they can't keep the vaccines because we can't keep cold. The staff, you know, it was funny, a medical person was telling me that we treat people on this torch. Government cannot buy torches for health workers, but a phone like this one, which has a torch, and somebody says we treat using this torch. And the idea is, had government brought maybe solar, they would be able to do what? To light up and treat our people. I think now, every leader in our regions that are targeted, that are benefiting communities, this is the only opportunity to highlight. There's a school here, there's a health center here, there's a marketplace here, there's a nice plant here, please, can it be supported? We shall do that. If you people are in the ministry, I know the biggest component of these mini grids will be our hard-to-reach islands. Many people have not worked on the islands. Transferring a police officer to go to work in Kalangala, he even takes a lot of time trying to lobby not to be transported there, transferred there, until they will go covering even themselves. They don't want to look at the water. Then when they reach there, they find life is normal. It's a vast land, but in between water, which needs connectivity. I'm also thinking about that there are outboard engines that support vessels, our vessels on the water, that will be innovated. If I saw motorcycles, motorbikes, if I saw vehicles, cars that do not charge, do not use fuel, probably there will be people.
Actually, thank you so much, Honorable, for that contribution. And maybe building from that, Doctor, from what Honorable has shared with us, there are specific investment opportunities that are going to be presented during the conference, both local and international investors, so that we can explore and contribute to the growth of the sector.
Absolutely. One of the key outstanding areas of investment lately is the aspect of carbon trading. And this is something that is really emerging. Uganda being dependent on traditional biomass for cooking, there's a lot of investment to support, to buy carbon credits. Carbon credits in how much carbon have you been emitting, for instance, if you're using charcoal or using firewood, and how much are you going to save or offset if you transition from using charcoal to using electric. So this is mostly coming in the space of cooking. And several of the companies here that are dealing in the manufacture of improved cook stoves, in electric pressure cookers, in bioethanol cookers will benefit from this space. Also, we're talking about the value chains, and we talked about business to business. There's several investors coming, and people want to build on those networks that are already established. So for local companies, are set to get international partnerships in these arrangements of B2B, so that they become handlers of other international or supplying agents for these other international companies. We have, of course, we talk about technologies, but there's even financing vehicles. For instance, last year we launched at the conference, we launched an EU funding, which is called Electrify. And it launched $5 million to support the energy transition. This year we are launching the one on Beyond the Grid. And these are colleagues that will be one of these days coming to visit here to elaborate more on how this funding is going to be. And there's another one, actually, is going to be launched by GIZ. It's called Demand Side Subsidy. Most of the funding and support as well as going to the supplier end. So they support the supplier to de-risk their investment, maybe using result-based financing. Now this time they're coming to the end user. How are we supporting the end user? Because it's been noted, if we support Honorable to import, for instance, electric vehicles, he'll bring them in, but is Nicholas able to buy them from him? So Honorable has brought them, you've helped him bring them, but then when it gets to the ground, Nicholas, whom you anticipated to buy it, cannot afford. So there's now we're looking at demand side subsidy that if you're supporting Honorable Moses to bring the electric vehicles or motorcycles, you also support me to afford it. Because affordability remains one of the big challenge or bottleneck for renewable energies. Everyone says, no, those things are very expensive.
Even accessibility, Doctor.
Yes, that's true. That's very true, accessibility, because you find most concentration of these technologies is within the urban centers. Why also? Because affordability is here. Not many people want to go to Kalangala. Why? Because they look at it as not an investment ready. You're going to put in your money. How long will it take to recover it? But here in Kampala, if someone is importing, for instance, iPhones, it's hard that you have import 100 iPhones in Kampala and you still have them in a month's time. But if you took 10 to Kalanga, how many would you sell in a month?
I get you.
You get. Yeah. So people also, even the business people look for where market is. Yeah. But government has been very focal, especially with the mini grids now. There's this integration or incorporation of productive use of energy in mini grids. And there was a pilot that was doing in Kiumu. It's called Twake. It is 2.0 Twake. Where they were piloting, using mini grids actually, to set pace for the arrival of the grid. And they were doing what we call asset financing. So they would come to, say, a Baba in a community, tell them, look, you've been using clippers, would want to give you a machine on an asset financing arrangement. So you take a machine on credit. By you taking an electric machine, you indirectly need electricity to power it. So you'll be paying me back for my machine as you also pay for electricity. In that time, you don't feel the pressure of like, I have to buy this machine 200,000, I have to connect this electricity at this amount. So this helped to actually offset and grow demand in a very short time. People invested. And that's the initiative that now government is taking with the mini grids. Coming to community engage. I think another change you've had is community engagement or involvement in these projects. That's why you hear people say, Honorable mentioned here my village, district, Sembabwe, and I was laughing because I know I've grown up in Sembabwe. I've seen very many houses, but he brought it up since I was too much speaking about the islands. I don't know how he got to know where I come from, and he threw in Sembabwe as well. But it's common. People have not appreciated beyond just lights in your room. What more can you do with this electricity? That's the point. And once we consolidate and find a way of people understanding that, look, electricity is not only about lights. It's the backbone. There's no investment. This country cannot achieve industrialization without electricity.
Without electricity, yeah.
Wouldn't be on TV tonight if there was no electricity.
That's true.
Yeah. So everyone should appreciate that in one or the other, you need the energy. Be as electricity, be as heat for cooking, be even fuel. We're all hustling here with the fuel prices, So we need to appreciate that we are stakeholders. We have a role to play. The little share with another, encourage them to advance. And before long, maybe we shall move from the reliance on firewood and charcoal and try to look at cleaner options for our sustainable future.
All right, thank you so much, Doctor. And as we, of course, reach the conclusion of this program, we just want to understand from Honorable, what could be your vision for the future of renewable energy in Uganda, Honorable?
Before I would go to that,
yes,
maybe I wanted to supplement what Dr. Nicholas was saying.
Yes.
Government, there's a project, I'm forgetting, I would not be very particular about how it is called in the Ministry of Energy. But they were saying they have a project. If your house is assessed and requires power equipment or power, like for 3 million shillings, government was supporting people with, was it 70%?
The free connection policy?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, not this one's with the hydro, but with power, with solar, renewable energy. And that government would now pay for you to the supplier, and you also pay the other percentage. They said this project had worked out in some areas, and it was a pilot, and it would roll out. So our people would also request government that as we do this launching of the mini grid, a funding should be set out to help our people. also access. Rural electrification project. I was told that government withdrew funding for that, but it should be brought back. These are our people who build their houses. In your Zimbabwe, I was also born in Zimbabwe, but in your Zimbabwe, you can find an ordinary person to build a house. It takes them years. Yeah. They can buy iron sheets and keep in the corner of the house. Then he buys other iron sheets and furnace steel. Some may not be of the same color because when he bought from this company, the color, the coating is like this and this,
and the price, of course.
The price differences. Then the next season, if it is farming, he organizes for cement, but he cannot take the cement home because he has not maybe done with bricks. Then he pays money to the shop man, please keep the money. Then in the other season, he also does with bricks. The fourth season, he does with roofing, nails and timber. So such a person, after completing the house, then he will now be told that, you know, connecting power requires this inspection, licensing, occupation, those processes. Then he will keep his house, at least he got the house, then with power. So I want that our people be also helped for connectivity. Then with time, could be a loan, like the students' loan, could be like this, a Myoga loan, but there must be a fund to help our people access power when these grids are connected. My vision, or how I see, there is a difference now on Bugala Island that has power in Kalangala. A difference from other islands that do not have power. It's so easy elsewhere. When we were young, we used to ask Sam Kutesa, Honorable Sam Kutesa, the then has just been Minister for Foreign Affairs, but he was Minister in this government for many years. And other people were asking him, Masanyalaze, why don't you bring Masanyalaze? When I went back to Zimbabwe, I saw they had power, they had the roads, but we also need to stimulate production. Our people, I know, innovation, production must increase, marketing, post-harvest handling, storing for a little longer to look for the market. It is where we are going. Uganda, I don't know how this, they call the MAPS, Amamburuga. Uganda is growing or developing in a MAPS-like structure. Other areas are well-to-do or are modern, while others are left behind. This project or this Expo and the whole project will now bring closer. Uganda. I don't know how much time you have left, but I think my people in Chamswa, if you are approached, you have idle land, this excitement that government should buy what and you delay this project, please give their land. Let the project start. We shall help you on how to ask government to compensate you, but don't put hurdles that, no, it's my land, the government should first compensate me or what. There is a project that will never come back at its time if you frustrate it. We shall help you to see how you are paid if you have to be paid. But please let government use our land to establish power for our people. We shall benefit with each other from the existence of this power.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Honorable Moses Kabuso, for that great contribution. And as we conclude also, Dr. Nicholas, are there any upcoming projects or milestones that we can look forward to in the coming years?
Yes. One, of course, he has highlighted on the mini grids. I mentioned also earlier that really government is very intentional on mini grids because they play quite a crucial role in the electrification of this country. We are all aware that close to 75% of our population as Uganda dwells in rural areas, some of whom are scattered, you know, the nature of our settlements, that it's really not going to be viable in that shortest or short to mid-term period to be viable to extend the national grid. So we are going to mostly extend the mini grids of grid systems to electrify these areas. But also, we've noticed that capacity is quite wanting. And for those that even have solar systems, as what was mentioned, these are challenges of technical know-how on the sizing and managing of systems. So it's government is very notable of that. And there is a project coming up or a partnership through the International Solar Alliance to establish standard state-of-the-art solar facility or lab for capacity building, but it will have satellite institutions around the country to support and quick start the capacity of our people. We have several of Kamyufu, as per se, that pretend to be technicians. And you know, it's hard in this country to know who's really a qualified technician. Because no one of us, even us who take board buses, whoever asks a driver for their driving license, who? No one. So when you know that someone, if I know that they recommend, there is Moses there. Moses knows how to put a solar system. And I am in Ivuvuma Island, for God's sake. When am I going to start asking Moses when he graduated? And, you know, what I want is for him to put a solar system for me and have electricity. So we want also to streamline the capacity. These other institutions, other areas like the lawyers, the medical doctors, teachers, they've tried to streamline their nature that really they keep their people to standard. So we're working on this capacity building in this country. We are partnering with universities to support on research, provide data and information relevant for this transition. And of course, we talked about financing. There's a lot of financing coming up. It's common in this country that you find financing institutions saying, we have financing targeting renewable energies. But then you'll find private actors saying, there's no money, there's no financing. So there's a mismatch on the ticket size. For instance, a bank says, the minimum I can lend for renewables is $1 million. But several of our companies are small and medium enterprises whose capacity cannot consume that amount of money. So we're also trying to look at how can we forge a bridge, a middle ground, where our companies and the financing institutions can coexist, support each other, and propel the transition. And one of those has been through, there's a financing that came from the World Bank, which is Electricity Access Scaler project that is now government is working on. Is part of grant and our loan, as he mentioned about it, to extend support for electrification, productive use of energy, but also to allow de-risking, because Africa at large is looked at as a risky investment destination. So the cost of credit is very high. You're borrowing at 20 to 22%. And with the energy business, it's quite tricky. It's not like agriculture. Not many even bankers know about the energy space. So even if you have a bankable project, you like it to be bounced. Because people are not familiar about the energy space. So also the capacity on the financial side is also something we're looking into. And that's why we have these events like the conference, to bring them, have a dialogue with them. They present their challenges. We try to propose solutions and look forward. So our target, and we know, if we can work together, because we've already said the foundation, the indicators are really right. We are sure that if we go at this pace and also quick start a few 1 and 2 changes still have at hand, we shall see this country electrified. Of course. And we'll see everyone enjoying electricity. Absolutely. Be on grid or off grid. But we don't want, we're looking at clean energy for all. We don't want anyone left behind. Okay. Yes.
Great. And maybe, Doctor, just a question. I want you to tackle something that Honorable mentioned, where he mentioned that there are those fake energy products that normally are given out by maybe private sector or some other. How do we tackle that challenge, Doctor, as we conclude?
One of the challenges that we have as a country, even before I talk about the standards, is the nature of our borders. They are quite porous. And also the setting of our families. You see, he's a gentleman from the islands, but here we end up from the same district, village, all Zimbabwe.
Yeah, sure.
Now, he can always come to Zimbabwe, pick something and take to the islands. He's home, when he comes to Zimbabwe, he's at home. When he goes to the islands, he's at home. So look at Busia, we have people staying Busia of Uganda, Busia of Kenya. Look at Malaba. In the morning, I can go to visit him, I come back with a solar panel. When I'm going to him, I take a jerrycan of alcohol.
Yes.
Now, I'm family, and even the people at the border know. So imagine if every day I go to across the border bring a solar panel. At the end of a month, I have 30 of them.
Absolutely.
It becomes a bit tricky, the nature of our borders.
Yeah.
And at some point, I feel for UNBS how they have to handle this. But also, it's an aspect of capacity. Our space is quite dynamic. Now, we're talking firewood, we're talking briquettes, we're talking electric pressure cookers, we have induction cookers. The pace at which technology is advancing is too fast. And the pace at which development of standards is quite slow. Because there are processes through which a standard has to go through before it's fully gazetted. But then the technologies are going on. We are talking electric pressure cookers. Someone has had them on TV today. A business person in Chikubo downtown has had. He's going to look around, what are these? To bring them on market tomorrow. And once they're on market, by the time the policy comes, the market is saturated. Also, there are these counterfeits. I had a discussion with the colleagues at UNBS. And they tell you, look, we can have Nokia. The basics of a phone we need. We can have a Nokia phone, which is the standard, or the quality that the manufacturer, which is. Then we can have a counterfeit, which we have the NQKIA. But then it has the basic minimum requirements of a standard phone. So there's no way you're going to broke it. Yeah. Counterfeit doesn't mean it doesn't work. No, it's just not the right brand, but it has the basic features required. So it remains a bit tricky. But then one of the ideas we've looked at is that when you create community awareness of technologies, people would know, how can I differentiate a Nokia phone from what is substandard what? They will not buy. The other challenge is that our people love cheap things, and that's why we have a lot of fake things. You and I have, who move around Kampala, you've had Esigiri Mutwalo. You've heard about this on tracks, Mutwalo. But those are not, so people are okay, they want a Sigiri. They don't know even a standard. And the Baganda seller is a Gulabo Wanana. Cheap things are always costly. Because you're going to buy 10,000 today, when you're cooking your matok, the water will pour on the sigiri, it will break in pieces. Then you have to buy another one. But then that sigiri is of standard will cost 50,000. But you don't want to part out with 50,000, you want to pay 10,000. A 50,000 sigiri will last at minimum, let's say 2,000. 1 year, let's say 1 year. The other one you're buying every month, you're going to spend 120,000. And someone has only spent 50. So the value for money, these are things we're trying to create awareness on. When people start to appreciate, why should I invest this amount of money, 200,000, in buying an electric pressure cooker at once? What value does it come with? As I end, on the area of cooking, a colleague of mine once demonstrated to us that, you see, most of us use, I may not use today, but we have grown up in village, we've used charcoal and firewood. You look at in your kitchen, the suit in all over the world, how they look like. The Baganda call it a miraba, where they put omukalu and the place, Echivani. And it's as black as charcoal. Now, most of the times, as you find the fire, you're there coughing. Imagine this smoke on the out. What is on your throat and through your lungs? Because you're still in this very environment, you're breathing the same smoke and the likes. The particular matter that you're taking in. So if you imagine that, most of us say this renewable technology is expensive, but then you spend a lot on your treatment because you're coughing, you have severe headaches. The cost of your firewood is low, but the health costs are high. Because every month you're having issues with your eyes, issues of cough, your breathing, headache. This is money you're spending. If you put that money you spent on your health issues related to cooking, vis-a-vis what you invest in cleaner technologies, the trade-offs are little wide.
In fact, renewable energies will reduce these. You heard of a song, it's my kyoyingidde kiringa kiyonga omukka ne bwe gweyongera oguma kati the people who have renewable energy for cooking. They don't have.
Absolutely.
They are in Chiungu, but there's no muka at all.
Yeah, another benefit that even men, with these cooking technologies, even my men find it easier to involve, because you can be helping with cooking on the electric pressure cooker, cooking in the bioethanol cooker. You can do induction, you can do in the dry, air fryer. These are things that even as a family, you get better off. You have more communication time because you're not outside in the smoke alone. No man wants to be in the smoke.
Sure.
But in a cleaner kitchen, your husband is willing to be supportive there. You're doing this and is checking on your EPC, checking on the other. I think it's an area of exploration that we need to make our people better understand. And we're not going to achieve a energy transition if we do not shift the way we use energy.
Absolutely.
So we need to get rid of the traditional biomass and embrace cleaner technologies.
For those watching us, I would want to host the two of these people once again, because I have enjoyed absolutely 1 hour of this conversation, and I've also learned quite a lot, from the renewable energy sector. And Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, together with National Renewable Energy, are bringing you, of course, a Renewable Energy Conference and Expo. Be there on the 16th to the 18th of November at a Commonwealth Resort in Kampala to ensure that you get to understand a deep understanding of what it means to be a part of the energy sector in Uganda. Now, for those that have been watching us, thank you so much for being part of Smart 24 TV, as we shall continue to bring you more discussions about the Renewable Energy Conference. Catch us tomorrow, same time, to ensure that we give you more details and insights on what it means to be impactful in the renewable energy sector. Now, for those that have been watching us, thank you so much for being a part of Smart 24 TV, and have a good night.
Be part of the green energy revolution. The Renewable Energy Conference and Expo 2023 is your information hub for all